503, Representative Edmonds, relative to professional licenses, create the Fresh Start Act of 2019. Representative Pierre, on behalf of the Legislative Bureau, sends up technical amendments.
Is there any objection to the adoption of the technical amendments? Without objection, the amendments are adopted. Representative Edmonds.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, members. In the spirit of what we've done in the past couple of years of in reentry and trying to help those folks that are trying to find a job, get back involved in society, one of the things that we've really done real well is our reentry program at Angola, where we are training and those people are finding their certifications. This bill falls in line with what's happening nationally. In December of 2018, the First Step Act was passed federally. Now Missouri, Arkansas, Mississippi, and hopefully now Louisiana can begin to move forward. It does take into consideration, however, the crimes of violence, which is RS 14.2b, or any sex offense, which is RS 15.541, and also makes the statement unless the crime is directly related in nature to the chosen occupation. So this is just one of those that we work with folks like Louisiana Family Forum, Right on Crime, and a variety of others in the spirit of what we're trying to do to help folks find a job, return back, support their families, and hopefully build stronger communities. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
For a question, Representative Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So while the bill is addressing second chances, there's still a selectivity on who gets the second chance.
That's correct.
What's the reason for that?
So what we've included is, and what we've followed is, I believe, is what's going on nationally, Representative Smith. So those typical crimes of violence or sexual crimes and acts are either very similar or identical to what we're seeing federally.
So do organizations throughout the state believe that people who commit these crimes cannot be rehabilitated and get jobs?
I'm sorry, I missed a part of that. I couldn't
So
hear.
organizations such as what you mentioned, those you mentioned, don't believe that people who commit these crimes cannot be rehabilitated and be able to get jobs?
I'm not certain of what people believe about who and when they can be rehabilitated. I do believe that this is a step in the right direction to try to help folks get back in community, find their jobs, and be able to be productive citizens.
So what kind of crimes of violence are you speaking of?
I've listed that. In fact, I have in the crimes of violence in RS 14.2b. It's a long list. Hang on just a second. I'll pull it up for you. You should be able to find it on your computer as well, that list.
Well, you're speaking, I presume, of murder, manslaughter.
Correct. So it starts with solicitation for murder, first-degree murder, second-degree murder, manslaughter, aggravated battery, second-degree battery, aggravated assault, sexual battery, second-degree sexual battery, second-degree kidnapping, simple kidnapping, aggravated arson, aggravated burglary, and I mean it's a significant list.
I understand that. So even if these persons have gotten out of prison, served their time, and at least gotten training while they were there, because some of them are participating in training programs, these bills, the bill that you're presenting now, doesn't allow them to even be included to get a job.
This would be, this is for their licensure to be able to.
I agree. And if the crime didn't fit the licensure and they've been trained to do something, that's the concern I have. Yeah. If the crime doesn't fit the license that they're applying for, then my concern is, why do we eliminate them from the job market? Because those are the individuals who never really get to have an opportunity for second chance.
Right. So this is, again, in line federally with the first step.
I understand all of that. I don't say I agree with that either.
I'm not asking you to agree with it. I'm just trying to answer your question.
Well, just because it's in line with it doesn't mean that we can't go above and beyond.
It is an explanation is all I'm trying to give.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for your explanation.
Thank you, Representative Smith.
For a question, Representative Mack.
Representative Evans, did I hear you right in that felons who are convicted of a crime of violence are excluded?
Correct.
Okay. What about sex offenders?
Yes, and they're limited. They're listed by statute, RS 15541.
Okay. And I guess another concern I may have is that you get someone who's maybe convicted of distribution of narcotics or possession of narcotics through maybe employment at a pharmacy or whatnot. Does the bill address any of those concerns?
It does. In line 18 on page 2, it reads, unless the crime for which the person was convicted directly relates to the duties and responsibilities for the licensed occupation or is a crime of violence or a sexual offense.
Does it still give some discretion with the licensing board, or is this just an automatic thing?
Well, this at least I think is protection for the licensing board. I'm assuming that they can always take their own particular board, can always make their choices. I don't think this would eliminate them full of their choices. But the rest is cited in this that protects them.
I guess my question is, if you're convicted of theft and
Yes.
you are wanting some type of license to maybe, investment broker or something like that you'd have a license on, would that board
Then I
still
would
be able to say,
that
look,
board could quote, unless, again, I'll read it again. They would quote in the law that said, unless the crime for which the person was convicted, which is the illustration you just gave, they would have been convicted for that crime, and thus they would not be eligible for that particular job.
okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
For a question, Representative Hilferty.
Thank you, Speaker. Rep. Edmonds, who makes the determination if the crime conflicts with the licensing requirements? Is that the board governing that specific industry?
Yes, each one of those boards have their own specific guidelines. This gives the guidelines of those that would
So
come in as reentry.
So they will interpret this board to make the determination if it conflicts. So if they were to make the determination that, no, we feel like this is not, whatever offense or something does not comply with our licensing requirements, and that's at the board level can make that decision.
I'm assuming that's correct, yes. They would make that decision.
Thank you.
There are no other questions. Representative Edmonds, you have a right to close.
I appreciate the support of all the folks that have worked so hard at this point. I think this is another great step for us, and I would ask your favorable passage.
Representative Edmonds moves final passage of the bills. Many in favor of final passage vote yes. Those opposed vote no. The clerk will open the machine. Vote your machines, members. Representative Stefanski, yes. Representative Gwynn, yes. Representative Bishop, yes. Representative Jefferson, yes. Representative Bagnaris, yes. Representative McFarland, yes. Are you through voting? Clerk will close the machine. 99 yeas, 0 nays. The bill is finally passed. Representative Edmonds moves to adopt the title. Representative Edmonds moves to reconsider the vote. Bill finally passed and lay that motion on the table. Without objection, so ordered. Request for co-authors, members. Machine is open for co-authors. Are you through voting? Clerk will close the machine. 15 co-authors.